Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
And welcome in Life Planning 101 on this Monday, December the 12th. Can y'all believe it, Angela?
No. It's happened so quick.
And Aaron's got all of his Christmas shopping done.
Yeah.
Well, this year has flown by, but we're here with some more great information from Kennedy Financial Services, and it's our monthly visit with Aaron, and he always has lots of good information, and I'm going to let y'all take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. Good morning to everyone, and good morning, Terry, and what a great morning it is. We've got some great information for you today. We do have Aaron Kennedy, our internal CFA, Charter Financial Analyst, that is going to give us kind of a market overview where things are at. And then, should you be bullish or bearish, or should there be certain things that you should be looking for in the market right now? So you aren't going to want to miss that. And we have some year-end tips that we're going to be going through because, and I know, last couple of weeks we talked about goal setting. We talked about doing some different things before the end of the year. And this last week, we wrote an article called Year-End Tips, and it's the 5 things that you need to get done. They need to be on your to-do list. And we've actually got these on our website, so you can go there, kennedy-financial.com. They will also be on katxradio.com and kwbyradio.com. Download it, and at the end of the article, we said, print this list and carry it with you until all 5 are done. So they are important things, and we've got a lot of good stuff with that. But I have a Twitter question today. Have you met all of your 2016 goals? Let us know, yes or no. Tweet us at KFS Life Planning and let us know, have you met those goals? But let's get into the meat of this. Let's talk about a few things. We're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about year-end promotions, putting some things to bed, creating a 2017 roadmap, and then don't forget the most important part of life, and I will tell you what that is at the end of the show. So let's get in with all the fun stuff and talk about taxes for a minute, right? We always love that topic.
Fun.
Yeah, we'll get that out of the way, then we have a nice break, and then everybody can, subside their anger before
end
we
on a high
continue the
note.
show. That's right. So there's good news and bad news about this year. The good news is next year there is a very, very, very good chance that every one of you as listeners are going to get a raise. Yes, I said it, a raise, because Uncle Sam is not going to charge you as much as he's going to charge you this year. That has been, a huge part of President-elect Donald Trump's election. He stated it over and over again that everyone will benefit from his proposed tax rates. Okay. And there's a very good chance he is going to get most of that passed or some variation thereof because, of course, we have a Republican House and Senate to sit there and sign off on what he wants to get done, right? So what does that mean that you need to do? Well, you need to realize you are in the last month of a year where you could pay the highest taxes you might pay in the next 4 to 8 years. So you need to fast forward and take every single deduction that you can for 2016. Maybe you want to advance some charitable gifts. Okay, so we see this all the time when people sell a piece of property or something. If they don't have necessarily, they scatter out their charitable gifts. We actually set up a donor advised fund that you can put the money in now, take the deduction, and then you can have that payout to charities later. Maybe you want to go ahead and write the check to your church for the full year for 2017 or January even, just a little bit. Just advance those deductions as much as you can get. Because just think of it this way. Let's say your tax rate decreases by 10%. So what does that mean on a $100 gift? $10. Yeah, exactly. $10. $1,000 gift, that's $100. That could help with someone's Christmas present. Just saying. Okay, so you might want to think about advancing those charitable deductions. Retirement plan contributions, upping those, doing some year-end pushing into retirement plan contribution. Maybe something that you would do in January, you could forward those to this year or, just do as much as you can and spread it out over the next couple years. That's a little tailor-made because if you work for a company, you participate in a retirement plan, you're going to be different from a business owner that has some other options. But the biggest thing is, finding out what is the actual maximum that you can do and getting it in there. Because again, if it's a 10% difference, every $1,000 is $100 in savings.
And if you're a business owner and you know you're going to need some new equipment next year, why not buy it now?
That's exactly right. We've been telling all of our clients, we had a lady on the phone. She's sitting there talking about, I think next year we're going to buy a truck. I said, no, buy it this year, because their tax bracket could be a massive difference, between what we're going to see next year. So if there's anything you're thinking that you're going to get a write-off for next year and you're going to, I'll wait a few months, don't wait. Just go ahead and do it. And, and that leads us into what we're going to talk about after the break, which is year-end promotions. But, I think about taking your property taxes, paying those, or even looking at your investments. What losses or things in your business, what losses can you take this year? You need to be using those strategies. So when we come back, we'll finish up these year-end tips, and then you don't want to miss our Market Minute with Aaron Kennedy. All
right. Stay tuned. Life Planning 101 continues right here on KATX KWBY. KATX KWBY Life Planning 101 continues with Angela and Aaron. Good morning.
Good morning. And thanks again for everyone being on the show this morning. We're talking about year-end tips, and then we're going to finish out, of course, with the biggest question of all is the markets and what's all this momentum mean for them that things have been going through. So let's get into it. We've talked about taxes and really taking advantage of every deduction you can get this year. What about year-end promotions? This is a place that people, I think, often forget, and it can go hand in hand with taking tax deductions. A lot of companies are trying to push that year-end goal meeting, right? And and I will tell you, in an election year, usually things kind of halt between October till late after the election, so they're behind.
This year was about July.
That's right. And so they're behind. So you might be able to find some really great savings, and even more than that. Okay, so here's an example. In our world, life insurance companies right now, there's actually promotions out there that they could insure you up to $3 million without a routine medical exam or lab requirements if you've been insured in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Yes. Pretty crazy, right?
It is.
So they're trying to push things before that end of the year, and that could be huge for you and your family to take advantage of it. It may not be there come January. So, looking for these year-end promotions and really finding, things that you need to take advantage of and doing that. Number 3, put it to bed. What do I mean by that? What is keeping you awake at night? What is bothering you? Start the new year with that off of your mind completely. I tell you, that will give you the freedom to focus on what's most important in 2017, right? Yeah. We, if we sit there and we worry about things and we continue to worry about things and we think, I'll take care of it next year. I'll put it on my to-do list. Well, it just puts you behind. That's all it did. So, so take care of it. You've still got a few weeks left in the year. Won't you feel better?
Yeah.
Everybody's got that one thing. So just do it. Do it.
Get it off your list.
Just get it off your list. Okay. And like I said, print this, carry it with you until you get it done. Right. Number 4, create that 2017 roadmap. We talked a little bit about this last week, and the big deal is that too often we see, especially companies, but individuals too, they wait until January to work on the new year. So what is the realization of that? It didn't get your new year kicked off until February, right? And you've lost that time, so take some of this downtime in December. Everybody's got some of that to work on yourself, work on at least your personal goals, and to be able to go back and relay that to your company. We do a ton of company meetings in December, and we cram everything in, but we have good purpose because we know in January we want to hit the ground running, and we don't want to have to stop and reassess where we're at.
We do that between Christmas and New Year's. It's a very slow time in the radio business, so we spend a lot of time here at the office. We give our employees some extra time off, and we come up here and close the doors and are undisturbed and make plans.
That's right. What's working? What's not working? Where do we want to go from here? Where do we want to be at the end of the day? Who's not working, right? Exactly. So, it's really important, but you're exactly right. That's the week we use as a buffer week, and it works great. And then I think the biggest thing that we often forget, and I put this on here as number 5, is, quote, tell them you love them. Don't leave 2016 without telling the people that are most important to you what they actually mean to you. don't we do that too often? We're so busy in life that we just get going and we forget to just stop and tell somebody, hey, I want you to know how much I love you. Give them a hug or write them a love letter. We've talked about that on the show before. When was the last time you wrote your spouse a love letter? Or your kids? And
Aaron, you want to answer that?
Thanks a lot.
Oh, yeah, jab. Cricket.
Put me on the spot.
Sorry.
That's right. But, the biggest thing is finding a way to be able to express those emotions. And that's different for everybody. The reason I'm so in tune to love letters, and I'll be the first to admit I'm horrible at doing this, but, it's something that you always have. People will cherish that, put that in their sock drawer, garment drawer, whatever that may be, right? But they'll always have that. And then, think about the things that you've received in your lifetime. And when you open up something and reread it after 10 years, what that has meant to you. And it means a lot. And so, that's just things that you can cherish, or pictures, or, just taking some special time. So that last week between Christmas and New Year's, when things are a little bit more dead, could you take someone on a date? Could you take your kids and do something very special with them? Even if it was just simply hoping for snow and going out there and making snow angels, and if not, just pile up a bunch of leaves. Heaven knows we had enough of those this year, and you can make snow angels out of leaves, right? But I think the biggest thing is don't leave room for those should have done this, right? So here was your list, 1 through 5: taxes, year-end promotions, putting it to bed, whatever that is that keeps you awake at night, creating that roadmap for 2017, and telling the people that mean the most to you how much you love them. Print it, carry it with you, and get all 5 done before the end of the year. It's not that much to ask.
No.
Right?
Easy.
Yeah,
right?
easy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Plenty of time.
Right. So when we come back, we're going to have a market update. You don't want to miss it.
We'll be back with more right after this. And we're back with Life Planning 101 right here on KTX KWY. Angela and Aaron, take it away.
Good morning. And we have made it. We've got our special guest with our market commentary, Mr. Aaron Kennedy here at Kennedy Financial Services, our chartered financial analyst. And
Good morning.
I know these markets have been nuts. So tell us what's going on and what we need to be looking for.
I think people are a little bit excited. The market has just gone right through the roof, and they're calling it the Trump effect. And boy, has there been an effect. The market has just blown through the roof. And I've talked to a lot of people coming at it from different sides, and we have we're at the all-time high, why should I get in now? And then I have the other of take everything I got and put it in the market. And that's the biggest question out there. Which way do you go?
Which is really kind of odd, because usually you see, either true greed from a lot of people or true fear from a lot of people. So having these mixed emotions.
Right, it is. And it's strange. And there's actual a fear-greed indicator out there. And just over the last month, it's doubled. It's gone from a 42 to a 84. As far as the greed factor.
Went up with greed. Wow.
Right. And the market's showing it. We're trading at a 26 PE, and historically average is around 15.
Wow.
So for layman's terms, because we're getting into CFA language here, PE.
Price to earnings.
Price to earnings.
The price you're paying for each dollar of earnings is $26 right now. So it's getting a little bit on the expensive side. So what's that mean? People are expecting better things in the future. If you look at what the U.S. was earning, or our GDP over the last 4 to 8 years, it's been around 1.7%. So if you think we might be able to double that over the next 4 years, that's going to be a lot of growth. So that should translate to market returns. And if we do get market returns, that PE will come down. So the question is, can Trump do it? And can he put things in place to get our country to grow? And he's got plans: lower our tax rates, bring cash back into the United States, put people to work on infrastructure. And if those things get put into place, the sky is the limit. Right. And today's high prices will be a thing of the past. Today, we should be getting in.
Wow. And that's interesting because everything is based on price to earnings, but what's to say the earnings can't grow? And that's something we hadn't seen much of. True earnings growth. And how long has that been stagnant?
A good 6 years.
6 years, wow. So really, we've seen this bull market kind of, and it's really not been a bull market, and it's been a real, mixed thing, because you could take one company that's done really well, and then another company that's really been flat for that whole period of time, or maybe even to the negative side.
Sure.
So there's this huge discrepancy. And so what does that mean for an investor? Like, if you're going into the market, because we all know we got to beat that inflation, especially if Trump does what he says he's going to do, we're going to have inflation.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we go in and be more cautious as an investor, but still have that mind of wanting to keep up with the market?
That's the $1 million question. You stay diversified, and there's a couple of things you need to look at right now, today. One thing is this big, the interest rates. We are probably going to get an interest rate rise this week. And some we have between 2 and 4 priced in for next year. What's that going to mean in the big picture? Number one, the cost of money is going to go up, so companies have a higher hurdle rate. That's just a smaller portion, because we're at 0 right now, and raising it up 2 or 3% is not going to really hurt. What will hurt is our U.S. dollar. The cost of the U.S. dollar is going to go up relative to other countries. So that's going to hurt our big multinational companies. If you think any big company, they're not selling here in the U.S. As a matter of fact, if you look at the S&P 500, about 48% of all their revenue is generated outside the U.S.
Wow.
That's a huge number.
It is big.
So being outside the U.S., that's going to hurt if the U.S. dollar goes up. If we're making sales in euros, and once we transfer them to the U.S. dollar, it's an automatic loss, or devaluation. So an easier way to get around this is invest in smaller companies. If you invest in a smaller company or a mid-sized company, guess what? Most of those earnings are right here in the U.S. You don't have to worry about euros or yen or anything else. And if Trump gets done what he wants to get done, they're going to participate a lot more in that growth than these large companies. Yeah. And there's ways to invest in small companies that aren't extremely risky. You don't have to buy the high flyers and the high tech names. You can go into more dividend-paying small company stocks, or, there's some lower volatility strategies out there, but at least you get to play the game, and you don't have to really worry about these currencies and that kind of thing.
And you brought up a good point about small companies, because I think when people hear small companies, they think of, hey, Kennedy Financial Services or KATX Radio. Those are small companies, right? We're not even talking remotely around that. So, if you're looking at a small cap company on the market, what size is that?
That's under $2 billion.
Woo!
Wow. Yeah, we're minuscule.
Yeah, we're minuscule. We're minnow company.
Yeah. I don't think you want to get into the micro cap names like 200 million, and those get a little bit risky, or maybe not so much risky, but volatile.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just can't stomach that.
Right.
But a good small cap, you're looking at $1 billion company on average, which is big.
Yeah. Big. That's great. That's really great. So, I think that's something important for us to all remember is when we talk about these different size companies and staying diversified, we always go with what we know. That's a habit, right?
Right.
We go into a new town and you're wanting some fast food, or you're going to try something new out, or you can go to McDonald's because you know McDonald's. And too often, we don't take that little bit of risk, and who knows, you might have missed storms if you did that, right? Woo, that'd be a mistake. So, so it's kind of the same essence when you think about your investing, and I think that's important for us to remember. Something else you always talk about too, and real quickly, I know we're running out of time, but is these structured notes. And with interest rates rising, this could be a game changer for people that want to participate in upside, but limit their loss, right?
That's exactly right. On the structured CDs or the structured notes, it's just like any other CD. The way it's built is built off of interest rates. So when interest rates go up, these structured CDs can buy more of their underlying asset. So the potential for bigger returns is greater.
Yeah.
So that would be wonderful for retirees if we can get a higher multiple on what we're buying. So now we can get on an underlying index, we can get 140% of whatever that does over 5 years. So what would happen if that jumps up to 180%?
Wow.
Yeah, and that's still protecting most, if not all, of the principal in some cases.
If we're buying a CD, it's still FDIC insured up to the limits.
Wow. So there's some great strategies out there.
Yes.
So don't want to miss those. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great to hear a little update as always and what's going on with the markets. And want to remind everybody we've got our coat drive this month. Drop by your holiday coat at our address, 106 South Seaman here in Eastland, and that is going to be for the Eastland County Crisis Center. And also make sure if you've missed any part of the show, you can rehear it at katxradio.com, kwbyradio.com. Find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio. In other words, just Google us. It'll come up. You can find us and start listening to us. We wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. And thank you so much for listening to the show, and God bless, and go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.